And let's say you're ready to sort of look for jobs, or you're thinking about your career, and you have to come the whole resume and the selection criteria process, right? So what are some first, let's start with things to really avoid when it comes to resumes. Like, what makes your eyes just glaze over? Or what do you see a lot that doesn't work?
You would have seen a lot.
I saw so many this year.
So how many did you see, roughly? So we know the numbers coming into line.
I think this year for Australia, for the roles in Australia, we got over 2,200 applicants.
Right.
So I must have seen, I would say, more than 1,000 resumes.
And you were saying there's how many roles going in Australia?
13.
Super competitive.
Super competitive.
Okay.
So I suppose when we're picking 13 out of that 2,000 resumes, you have to stand out in some way. And I think the biggest no-nos that I've seen is not having a direction with your resume.
Yeah.
I've seen one-page resumes, and that's fine if it's concise and gives you all the information that you need.
Yeah.
But if it's one page and there's absolutely nothing that I can work on, that's a huge no-no.
Yeah.
Being unprofessional as well, like with you can be creative in a certain way, but not in an informal way that makes you look unprofessional.
Yeah. So what are some things like you've seen that would make a resume look unprofessional?
Just the language that they use. Be very careful with your language and the way that you structure your resume. So I've seen paragraphs of just storytelling, I don't want to do this, I want to do this. The language and the structure is a huge part of it. Yeah. If you can structure it in a way where we can read it and go like, oh, this person is great, she's done this, or she's accomplished this, then they stand out.
Fantastic.
Whereas if you use really unprofessional language and we have to spend 10 minutes just reading one paragraph, that's not going to work.
Right. So sort of bullet points, but focusing on achievements and relevant to the job. Okay, great. Any other no-nos you've seen, Jessica?
I guess across my career in different resumes that I've seen, glamour shots, I guess, on your photo, a glamour photo, so that when you walk in the door, you actually can't tell that it's the same person.
Right.
They're a definite no-no for me. Talking about how many kids you've got, if you have kids, or your family. Things like that, your date of birth, that kind of stuff. It doesn't really come across as professional. It's not something that the employer is looking for.
Right. And when it comes to selection criteria, so that's probably sort of the step one, right? Any things to do that could help someone, once again, get through to actually getting an interview? Any no-nos or any practical tips that would work when it comes to answering selection criteria?
So we've got a really structured process before we reach the phone interview stage. We start with an online application, and then if you meet the eligibility criteria, so that's just really simple things like getting credit average, having the visa to work it. And then once you go through that, we send you an online assessment, which is the psychometric testing. And we've got a verbal, numerical, and behavioral component to it. And they have to meet the benchmark in order to progress. So the first thing to do there really is to be prepared for that online assessment and be able to meet the benchmark. And some people take it quite lightly. They go like, oh, it's just a test, just do it in the middle of other things and don't concentrate, and anything can bring your score down really. And then once they progress through that stage, we screen their CVs and their cover letters. So I guess in terms of getting them over the edge and get that interview, I have applicants who didn't put in a cover letter, and it's not essential all the time, but if I have 1,000 resumes and they all look the same, an extra cover letter will really bring you there, just to express your motivations or help me get a better understanding of who you are as a person or your drive or where you want to be.
And the fact that maybe they've taken a little more time, spend a little more time tells you something
and
about
even
them.
demonstrate that they know us better and they've done some research and go like, oh, this is what you are and this is how I identify with you as a company and your values. That always gives them an edge. And then in their CVs, it's very important to list down their achievements, be very clear of what they've done and what they've achieved and what they're proud of and how they align with our goals. And that's usually a plus.
And you've mentioned the behaviors in the online assessment test. What are some of the behaviors you look for in your company? Like, what's important to you?
So at Lion, for example, we've got 10 behaviours that add value. So we did some internal and external research. We spoke to our customers and consumers, and we identified 10 behaviours that add value to us as a business, and also to our customers and consumers and things like that. So we actually, through all of our resourcing processes, really target those particular behaviours. Particularly so in the grad space, you can have a look at what scores you achieved in your high school certificate, what marks you got, and once you kind of get past the first stage, everybody's got those high marks. So it's really then the behaviours that we look for in things like the interview. We give them a presentation that they need to do, and also a group activity. So we look for people who will do the right thing for the long term. Who have the capacity to lead and develop others, who are disciplined with the way that they think. Those sorts of things we look for.
Okay, great. And in, let's say, a group assessment or a group interview situation, what's something not to do that, the people observing you, so from Lion, would go, okay, that person is just not right for the company? Because some people, and the reason I ask, some people want to show that they're confident, but they come off looking perhaps a little overconfident or a little too overpowering. What's the balance?
So I suppose in a group setting, it would be very important to not only be a great leader, but also a really, really good team player to be able to lead and support in that sense. So that's what we call lead and develop others. We have groups where people talk over each other, and that's not just disrespectful, but doesn't really demonstrate the behaviors that we're looking for. So in a group setting, it would be important to not only identify the strengths and weaknesses of others, but to be able to draw everyone together, gather upon their ideas, build upon them, and sort of lead the group in an agreed direction, and help motivate them and generate a high level of engagement within the team, and then lead them in a certain direction. So that would be